Good morning, sir. My name is Sunita. I'm from ECB's review section. Today I want to talk related tech part of subject Python. My topic is Django. Let's see what is the meaning of Django. Django is a high-level Python web framework that enables rapid development of secure and maintained websites and are built by experienced developers. Django takes care of much of hazard of web development, so you can force on writing your app without needed to reinvent the way. It is free and open source, has a thriving and active community, great documentation, and many options for free and paid for support. Django was initially developed between 2003 and 2005 by web team who were responsible for creating and maintaining newspaper websites. After creating a new number of sites, the team went to a factor out and reduced lots of common code and design patterns. These common code evolved into a generic web development framework, which was open sourced as the Django project in July 2005. Django has continued to grow and improve from its first milestone release 1.1 in a September 2008 through the recently released version 3.1 2020. Each release has added new functionality and bug fixes, ranging from support for new types of database, templates, engines, and caching, through to the addition of generic view functions and classes, which reduce the time that developers have to write from a number of programming tasks. And in addition, in a tradition, in a tradition, data-driven websites, a web application waits for HTTP request for the web browser or the silent. When a request is received, the application network out that is needed based on the URL and the possible information in the post data and get data depending on what is required. It may then read or write information from a database or perform other tasks required to satisfy the request. The application will then return and respond to the web browsers, often dynamically creating an HTML page for the browsers to display the inserting and retrieving data into the placeholders in an HTML template. Django web applications typically group the code that hurdles each of these steps are separate files. Here we can see this picture HTTP request URLs .py forward from HTTP request URL to the viewers. It will goes to the read or write data by the modules, and it gives it goes to the template, and the HTML responses has been seen. URLs. While it is possible to process request for every single URL via a single function, it is a much more maintainable to write a separate view function to handle each resource. A URL mapper is used to redirect HTTP requests to the appropriate view based on the request URL. The URL mapper can also match particular patterns of strings or digits that appears in a URL and pass these to a view function as a data. View. A view is a request handler function which receives HTTP request and returns HTTP response. Views access the data needed to satisfy requests via models and dictate the formatting of the responsible to templates. By this URL request to go to the views goes to the HTTP request and returns HTTP responses. Models are the Python objects that define the structure of an application data and provide information and are managed by this URLs and views. Models give the data which we have assigned to it. I provide mechanism to manage and query records in a database. Templates. A template is a text file defining the structure or layout of a file, such as an HTML page with placeholders used to represent actual content. A view can dynamically create an HTML page using HTML template, populating it with a data from model. A template can be used to define the structure of any type of a file. It does not have any HTML. Templates are a text file defining. It does not have any HTML file. It gives the HTML page. In the request to the right views URL files. A URL mapper is typically stored in a file URL that are with and if I had to be requested as unified pattern associated with the function the request. By this URL function, it will pass an information through it associated with the functions which will call pass the URL pattern. Here the example for the URL is equal to comma admin slash string comma admin dot site dot URL comma closed path address string book in int int colon id greater than slash string views dot books underscore details name is equals to book underscore details path catalog include catalog path. This is a pattern of URL pattern. Handling the request. Views.type. Views are the heart of the web application. Receive HTTP request from web silence and returning HTTP response. In between, they marshal the other resources from the framework to access a database, render templates, etc. The example below shows a minimum view function index which could have been called by our URL mapper in a previous system. Like all views function, it receives an HTTP request object and a parameter and returns an HTTP response object. In this case, we don't do anything with the request and our response returns as hard coding string. We are useful for the HTTP request, which goes to the model which gives the HTTP response. File name views.file Django, Django view function from Django. HTTP input, HTTP response. This will give the function hello from Django. Defining data models. Models.py. Django for publications manage and query data to Python. Object referred as the modules. That module define the structures of stored data, including the field type and possible also their maximum size, default values, selection list options, help text from documentation lab, text from text for forms, etc. The definition of model is independent for the underlying database. You can choose one of the several as a part of your project settings. Once you have chosen what database you want to use, you don't need to talk to it directly at all. You just write a model structure and other code, and Django handles all the direct dirty work from the communication with the database of your file name models.file from Django.database imported. This is the model file class team, comma models.py colon team underscore name. We should not we should not give any gap for this team name. We should take a name, or else we should not give any spaces between a variable. Model dot char field maximum length. We are giving a length to it. Team level. We are giving a team level. This is the command. A team level. Team level is equals to model dot file is equals to team level. We are giving a coding for this for HTTPL page. For HTTPL page. Querying data view.file. The Django model provides a simpler query API for searching the associated database. This can manage against a number of fields at a time using different criteria. Example, excess in case insensitive greater than etc. We have case sensitive in this case also in a Django and can support complex statements. For example, you can specify a search on U11 team that have a team name that started with FR or end with AL. The code snippet shows a view function, resource handler, for displaying all of our view 019 that list underscore team is equals team dot object. This is the querying data for the viewers. Shows how we can use the modular qual API to filter for all records where the team underscore level field has exactly text U09. Note how this criteria is passed to the filter function as an argument with the field name and a match type separated by a double underscore team underscore level underscore extract. Here we can see that viewers file name viewers.file Django from Django.shopper input sender from dot module import team def index of the system. Others specify the structure of an output document using placeholders for data that will be filled with when an page is generated. Templates are often used to create HTML, but also create other type of documents. Tango supports both its native templating system and another popular Python library can Jinja out of box. The code snippet shows what the HTML templates called by the render function in the previous section might look like. These templates has been written under the assumption that it will have access to the list variable called younger streams. When it is rendered inside the HTML skeleton, we have an expression that I first check if the youngest stream variable exists, and then it in a for a loop. On each iteration, the templates display each team underscore name value alive. This is the HTML templates. Django helps you write software that is complete. Django follows the battery included philosophy and provide almost everything developers might wanted to do out of the box, because everything you need is part of one product. It all works seamlessly together, follows constant design principle, and has an up-to-date document. Versatile. Django can be used to build almost any type of a website, so from a content management system and websites through to social networks and news sites. It can work with any silent site framework and can deliver content in almost any format. The site you are currently reading is built with a Django. Internally, while it provides choice for almost any functionality you might want, example, several popular databases, templating engines, etc. It can also be extended to use other component if needed. Secure. Django help developers avoid many common security mistakes by providing a framework that has been engineered to do the right things to protect the website automatically. For example, Django provides a secure way to manage the use accounts and passwords, avoiding common mistakes like putting season information like cookies where it vulnerable. Instead of cookies, just content a key and that actual data is stored in the database, or directly storing passwords rather than the password hash. Scalable. Django uses a component-based shared nothing architecture. Each part of the architecture is dependent upon the others and can hence be replaced or changed if needed. Having a clear separation between different parts, meaning that it can scale for increased traffic by adding hardware at any time. Caching servers, database servers, or application servers. Some of the busiest sites have successfully scaled Django to meet other than Instagram, Discord, etc. Maintainable. Django code is written using design principles and patterns that encourage the creations of maintainable and scalable code in a particularly. It makes you don't repeat yourselves, right? Principle also principle, so there is no necessary duplications, reducing the amount of code. Django also promotes the grouping of related functionality into resident applications and low energy level group related code into modules. Portable. Django is written in a Python which runs on a many platforms. That means that you are not tied to any particular server platform and can run your application on many favor of Linux, Windows, and Mac. Furthermore, Django is well supported by many web host providers who often provide specific infrastructures and documentation for the hosting Django. Thank you.